Margaret, I would love to hear, because I know as teachers and all of these students that want to be out there moving and getting their emotions out and everything, it's, as a teacher, I still look and I go, but you guys, there's so much important work that can happen right now, and we could really take advantage of finding our placement so strong and working those feet, and there's so many things. So I would love to hear what you have been feeling like, wow, that this is actually a good time to work on those things, or what kind of tips you could tell all those young dancers
Mhm.
out there during this time.
Yeah, I went back to just how you're doing even the most basic stuff is unbelievably difficult and really valuable, and I feel like every time I've done that in my career, I've come out a much wiser dancer and actually a much more detailed dancer.
Mm.
Um, I think one of my strengths over time, one of my fortes in my career has been being an articulate dancer and being very transition focused. I think about every moment of my dancing instead of just the big moments, the turns and the jumps, and I'm always thinking about every little detail, and that's why I've loved working with Stephanie Salon so much. She's coached me in a few roles, and it's been invaluable to think about just even how the curving your head one way to the other. It's there's so much detail in all these moments and so much evolution to be had. It's a really great time for students to examine, if I can't do this, what can I do? And, it's very unsafe for a lot of kids to be doing most things. Some people are on really hard floors and can't jump at all. Some are definitely on floors where they can't turn at all, and you have to hit that
Mhm.
passe balance instead. And I think it's, the excitement level, it feels so disappointing to them to not be able to do those things, but there's still a lot to be gained from just doing the passe balance or doing the releves instead of the jumps. And in the point classes I've been teaching, I've been a broken record, and I feel like I'm probably going to be the boring point teacher compared to a lot of my colleagues on these platforms that are going on right now. But there's a combination that I always give in point class, and it's all it is just rolling up through your feet and hitting the quarter and the half and the three-quarter and smoothly hitting that point, and then smoothly hitting the three-quarter and the half and the quarter and down. And that's something I grew up doing in Tucson, but I think it's valuable. And I always say, these are those little things, building the tinier muscles that way. That's how you get those beautiful soft walks on stage where someone looks like they're floating. It's like all those little detail moments that we kind of gloss over when we're trying to execute the bigger things. And now is the time to build the details and build the proper arm, positions and the finger
Yeah.
positions. And there, we get bad habits without even realizing a lot of times. So we often don't get the chance to slow down and examine what those habits are. And now we definitely have the time to examine what they are. So it's, I think, a
Yeah.
good use of all of our time to do that.
Absolutely.
I think students need to let themselves realize it's okay to feel frustrated. I still have moments where, I have that piece of Marley now, but occasionally I'll still hit a part in the floor where it's so uneven that I just fall completely over. And that's not a great feeling. That's upsetting. I know no one wants to be struggling with that. And we don't really have space in our home for a portable bar. Some people do, some people don't. And I've been using a kitchen island, which is a portable kitchen island. The wheels are so bad that it's actually been finally a benefit that it doesn't roll very much. But every once in a while, I'll be on and it will roll. And I'm like, it's, this is not a perfect process. And I think that's another thing too, is to allow yourself to feel the feeling of being discouraged by those moments, but just not defeated by them. 'Cause they're going to come up, I'm always amazed in the classes that I teach. Some people have ballet studios in their home, which I'm very envious of. It's bravo, wonderful for them, however that ended up happening. But a lot of us don't. And, I had taught a point class last week where there were a couple of kids in a really ideal setup like that. And then I remember seeing one younger girl clearly on carpet holding on to a dining room chair and not able to travel very much. And but I was so impressed. She was modifying everything and she was just dancing her little heart out. And it just goes to show you don't need the perfect setup. But I think there's, I would imagine that's frustrating for some kids, when they know they're the kid that is on the uneven piece of carpet holding the chair that's falling over and like goes with them constantly and they can't put a lot of weight on and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And it probably feels very daunting sometimes. It can make you feel like, well, why am I even bothering? Why am I taking class? But you
Mhm.
just have to know that, it's okay to modify. It's okay to feel, a little upset when you have those moments, but just keep at it, be patient, keep putting the time in, and it'll pay off over time. It's just, I think there's constantly a panic for young ballet students about being behind.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling that in injuries when I was younger. And, we all go through those moments where we feel like our classmates are suddenly light years ahead of us, even if it's not true.
Mhm.
It's dancers are
Right.
very self-conscious people, generally
Right.
speaking. And
Mhm.
it's hard not to reject that too. But yeah, I think there's, a lot to be said for patience and knowing that most of us are not in ideal circumstances, and including teachers. And there's going to be a grace period, or I should say, there needs to be a grace period. Whenever the day comes where people are heading back into the studio, it's not going to be,
Mhm.
even probably within the first week, suddenly everyone's back and everyone's fabulous and picking up right where they left off. And
Yeah.
there's going to be a slump that we all have to kind of climb out of from because of
Mhm.
this, but we're all climbing out of it together. And I think a lot of teachers will have empathy for that. Obviously, I can't speak for all teachers, but like I think a lot of teachers will
Yeah.
show their students a lot of love and empathy and encouragement around the process of getting back, not just expecting them to suddenly be back in the studio delivering and maintaining everything that they had last left, or in fact excelling. Like we're not in that place. And that's why, as you mentioned, the detail work, it's like one place that you probably can excel, one of the few places that any of us can excel, is in that little, those
Mhm.
little tiny things that we can work on, and the core
Mhm.
strength and the core alignment and all the details of our feet and our hands. And that's something feasible, but no one should feel like there's larger steps that they are missing that other people are accomplishing, I think, right now.